Hi everyone, it's Joe from KE Consulting here, and today we are going through our intermediate level of warehousing, which I'm calling basic warehousing. Now, this follows on from our simple warehousing video that we've been through before, and this time we're going to use locations and bins, but also introduce inventory picks and putaways, which are used to track the import and export of our inventory. So let's jump into Business Central and have a look at our setup. So if I go into locations, I've made a warehouse called Joe Basic Warehouse, and this is what I'm going to use for this demo. So let's open this up. Now in here, we can see some of the settings that I've applied. So first off, we can see I've got bin mandatory on, and this means we'll be using bins to store items. I've then got require put away and require pick ticked. And this is what's going to allow us to use our inventory picks and putaways to register incoming and outgoing items. And I'll show you how this works later on. Now, for all of our bin settings, I've made a previous video explaining bin setup and default bins. So if you don't know how this works or haven't seen it before, I recommend watching that to get the bin setup correct. So if we go into our bins, the two that we're going to focus on in this demo are one JBW and two JBW. So inside one JBW, I have item 1908, and I've set this as its default bin. Inside 2JBW, I have item 1900 set as its default bin, and I've also got 1908 as just fixed. Again, this is all explained in the bins video. So that's all there is for my setup. So let's jump into the process of using basic warehousing. So first things first, let's imagine we need to order some items into our warehouse. First, I'm going to need to create a purchase order for the items. So let's go into purchase orders and press new. I'm going to add a vendor name of who I'm ordering from. And I'm also going to need a vendor invoice number, but obviously I'm making this up because it's a demo. And now let's go to our lines where we're going to add our items. So let's add item 1900 and also item 1908. We're going to set our location code to JBW as this is the warehouse we're using. And you can see it's automatically suggested the default bins that we've set up for us. However, the bins aren't super important here as we can change them when we're in the inventory put away that I will show you shortly. So I'm going to set 10 quantity for both items. So now what I do is I'd order these items and wait for them to arrive. Once the items arrive, we'll be ready to use our inventory put away, which is the document that we're introducing in basic warehousing. And this is going to allow us to track what items have arrived and where we're placing them. So from the purchase order in here, under the Home tab, we can click Create Inventory Put Away or Pick. I've got both Put Away and Pick ticked, as it's just going to create the relevant document, and in this case, that's going to be the Put Away. So let's press OK. So now this is created, I can head into my inventory Put Away, and I can do this through searching for putaways and finding the related document, or what I can do is from the purchase order, press Related, Warehouse, and Inventory Put Away pick lines. And this is going to show us our inventory put away. We can see the source number matches to our purchase order number, so we know it's the correct one. And if we open this up, we're now in the put away. So we're going to use this document to confirm that the correct items have arrived and the quantities of each. We're also going to confirm which bins the items have been placed in, and this will update Business Central to show the items in the selected bins. So from the lines, we can see Business Central has suggested in some bins for us to use for each item, and this is coming from our default bin setup. So let me show you how we can use this document. So we can imagine I'm now needing to put these items away, and looking at the line for item 1900, we can see it suggesting to put it in bin 2JBW. I'm happy with this, so I physically place these items in this bin, and then I'm going to change the quantity to handle to 10 as I put them all in there. Now for item 1908, we can see a suggestion to put it in 1 JBW, but I actually decide I want to put 5 in here and 5 in another bin. So to do this, I'm going to put 5 in the quantity to handle field. Then I'm going to make sure the line is selected. I'm going to press functions and split line. So now we can see we've got 2 lines for item 1908. If I click on the bin for one of these, we can see all the other bins that are available to place it in. So I'm going to select, I actually want to put 5 in 2 JBW. So I press OK. And now we've got 5 in each. So now I'm happy with this. I can post this document, and this is going to update the inventory in our bins in BC. So I've got the option to either receive or receive an invoice. If I just receive, it's just going to post the put away. And if I receive an invoice, it's going to post the purchase order as well. So if I just click receive, this is posted, and then I could post the purchase order myself. And it wouldn't matter if I press receive an invoice or just invoice, as it's already received. So now if we have a look in our bin contents, we'll be able to see that our items have been updated and placed in the bins. So we've got 1 JBW, and we can see item 1908, and we can see that 5 are in there. We can also see item 1908 for 2 JBW, and there's 5 in there. And finally, we've got item 1900 in 2 JBW, and we've got 10 in there. So all the stock has been added to the bins we posted it in. So now let's go through the process of selling items. So to begin, we're going to create a sales order where we'll list the items that we're selling and to who. So let's go into sales orders, we'll press new, and let's enter a customer that we're going to sell to. So now if we go down to our lines, here again is where we're going to enter our items that we're wanting to sell. So let's begin by putting in item 1900 and 1908. Again, we're going to put the location code to JBW. And we'll do this for both lines. And again, we can see that it's suggesting the default bin to pick from. But once again, this isn't super important here, as in our inventory pick is where we're actually going to decide which bins we use. So again, I want to sell 10 of each of these. And now our sales order is set up, we'd be ready for somebody in our warehouse to pick these items to ship. So when they're ready to pick them, what we're going to do is we're going to create the inventory pick by clicking this again. Again, I've got both selected as it's just going to create the relevant one. Let's press OK. And now here we could search for inventory picks, or I'm going to use related warehouse inventory picks. And again, our source number is going to match our sales order number. So in here, it's going to look a lot like that inventory put away we just used. So it's going to tell us our items that we're meant to pick, the bin it's suggesting to pick them from, and the quantities. So we can see for item 1900, it's suggesting to pick from 2 JBW and pick all 10 from that bin. However, for item 1908, we can see it's suggesting to pick from 2 different bins. This is because we don't have 10 in one bin, so it can tell we need to pick from 2 different bins to reach our total. So it's quite handy for suggesting where to pick from and knowing if there's not enough stock in one place. Now, if we wanted to check other bins for stock, all we'd need to do is click on the bin field, and it's going to show us a list of bins that could potentially hold this item. We can also see the quantity in each bin, so we could pick which bin we want to use. This is all explained in the bins video, the default and fixed meanings, but I'm happy with this bin, so I'm going to say OK. So now I would pick all these items from these bins, and once I'd picked them all, I could confirm the quantities that I'd picked. I do this by filling in the quantity to handle field, and I'd enter how many I've picked for each line. So I've picked them all, and what we can also use is just the autofill quantity to handle, which I fill in the maximums. Now that I've picked all these items, what I can do is post this, and this is going to remove the inventory from our bins. Again, if I just press ship, it's just going to post this inventory pick and update the inventory. If I ship an invoice, it's going to also post the sales order. So if I just post ship for now, and then in the sales order, when I'm ready, I could post that as well. So now if we head into our bin contents, we'll be able to see that our stock has been updated. As you can see, now 1 JBW and 2 JBW for our items don't have any stock in them as we sold it. And that completes our basic warehousing process. Adds more tracking for receiving and shipping items compared to simple warehousing. In our next video, we will use advanced warehousing, and that will introduce another layer of tracking, so we will have 2 documents when receiving and shipping items.